Shane Gillis, live on stage.
I'm a bit of a history buff, which, by the way, that is early onset Republican.
His biggest tour ever is coming to Des Moines.
You're a white dude in your 20s and 30s, and you're like, I can't stop reading about World War II. It's coming, bro.
See Shane Gillis with his unmistakable comedic style. Live in Wells Fargo Arena Saturday, May 31st. Get tickets now at iowaeventcenter.com. For more, visit ShaneMGillis.com.
Oh, yes.
Mom, Dad's being weird again.
Luscious.
Honey,
so full.
it's just grass.
Oh, it's so much more than just grass. It's a healthier, greener, and more luscious lawn. Yours can be too.
Look at you.
With 𝗙𝗃𝗃𝗃 Brothers Lawn Care.
Remember, no shoes on the lawn. Because you're so beautiful.
Call or click today.
We recommend listening to the CW Pod with a glass of Steeple Ridge Bourbon. Grown, distilled, well-rested, and bottled in Erling, Iowa. Now from the Channel Seed Studios, this is the CW Pod, fueled by Steeple Ridge.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to CW Pod. It's Tuesday, the 29th of April, 2025, here in the Channel Seed Studios. My name is Chris Williams. We are presented, as always, by our friends at Steeple Ridge, baby. The Lonely Oak Distillery. Absolutely love my buddy Pat Hoffman over there, who makes the best whiskey in the world. Seems a little hyperbolic. I don't care. It's that good. It's that good in Erling, Iowa. The Duke, you've all heard us talking about. Pretty sure he had some Steeple Ridge for the first time this last weekend. Loved it. And I was showing it off to my neighbors last weekend as well. They're all like, oh, I need Pappy Van. No, you don't. No, you really don't. I know that's a generous thing to do, to compare Steeple Ridge bourbon to Pappy Van Winkle, but what I'm saying is, for the price, what you get in that bottle is incredible. You're supporting a great local company, local dude like Pat Hoffman and his family. Go buy yourself a bottle for the weekend. No guest today, as I've been compiling thoughts. And there's just been so much going on in college sports and sports media that I wanted to take a podcast episode to really kind of analyze things a little more in depth than I get to when I podcast with 𝗀𝗃𝗃. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I do have a lot of thoughts on. I'm going to start with a comp. Now, I know one thing that I can do, and this is a flaw, where I can get so inside baseball with media stuff, because that's what I'm passionate about, and that's what I do on a daily basis. And frankly, most of you don't care, right? Like that's the one thing I think, like, young sports writers fall into this trap often, where they'll bitch about like their like game times and the deadlines. Like, fans don't care. In a fan's mind, you're getting paid to watch sports. Now, there's clearly more to it than that, but fans don't care about how that's a good lesson in life. Nobody cares about how much you have to work. They don't, because everybody works hard. You know, like it's an old Jerry Seinfeld stand-up comedy. Nobody cares about your wedding, is what Seinfeld said. He's like, they don't. They're just there for the meal. I mean, they're great. They're happy for you. They don't care. Usually when they get it, they're like, God damn it. Now I got to. That weekend's tied up. We all overinflate everything about ourselves internally. And I do that all the time with media. So I come at this from this angle where I fully realize most of you don't understand, nor do you care about the comp I'm about to make. But I see it so clearly, and I think many of you will be able to take whatever you do for a living unless you're one of our farmers, because you don't live in this world. Good for you. But most of us can put ourselves in and understand the comp I'm about to make with college sports and my world, which is the media, specifically corporate media. So we've been talking a lot about, so Matt Campbell kind of did his thing last week where it's just outrageous. It's incredible how the season is like 4 months around the corner and they don't even know the rules, right? We talked about it. Keith and Andy talked about it. If you guys haven't heard that, go. We do have that whole press conference on our Cyclone Fanatic YouTube page. If you want to go and watch it, you're welcome to check it out. But the point I've always made is, well, why are we in this spot? Well, it's not because Brett Yormark and these current commissioners did this. They didn't do this. They are here now trying to. Most of the people in charge of college athletics right now are trying to clean up a mess, and they're trying to. What happened was this was, so you got to go back to 1985, and there was actually a Supreme Court case with Oklahoma and the NCAA, which deemed that. Eventually, that's what turned into this world where conferences held their own media rights and could go out and sell their games to these TV networks, and that's how everybody started making all this money. And it crescendoed from there. We had conference realignment. Then this chapter I'm doing in my book right now, when Gene Chizik went to Auburn, he got paid $1.9 million a year. And at the time, in 2009, yeah, that was like an extravagant salary, 1.9 million. Well, now we got like coordinators and like, hell, you probably have some like GMs of these schools that make that, right? So you've seen like this money just crescendo over the years because the television money's gotten bigger, and we charge you more for tickets and all that stuff. You see how it happens. Well, I've seen two problems over the years, and it's the comp that I can make with my industry. Is one, nobody ever really has ever looked out for college athletics as a whole. That you have all these entities that, I think that at their core, they want everybody to do well, but they don't really care because it's such a dog-eat-dog world that they live in, that they are there for the sake of survival. So not only are all these schools, basically just looking out for themselves, which is what caused realignment was the conferences are now scrounging for television dollars. And, we need this market, right? We all saw this with the Big Ten. Like Rutgers is never in the Big Ten if it doesn't come to television. It doesn't make any sense. Nobody wants them, but they brought that New York market. And that was sold to us as like, that's a big deal, right? So it's like all the conferences are working for themselves. All the schools are working for themselves. And now you have all the players that are actively working for themselves where nobody really cares about the greater whole. Now, there are certain spots where it's like, oh, that guy's trying to do the right thing. I think Bob Bowlesby was trying to do the right thing when he was with the Big 12. And I think he got played he was so nice, right? I think he got played. And then you would go, well, Chris, this is why we need a commissioner in college athletics. I agree with you. But if you are Greg Sankey in the SEC and you have this dominant position, why would you give that up? They won't. So then I've said this a lot. And if you've listened to my other shows, you've heard me make this point, like that they didn't do anything, that they kept kicking the can down the road. They did do certain things. They would budge on like, cost of attendance and like, we're going to give you better meals and we're going to pay for your apartments now and all that stuff. But it truly never got to the core. And we've been just bloated. And now we're at this point where I believe we're past the point of no return when it comes to actually truly saving any form of amateurism whatsoever, specifically in the sports of football and men's college basketball. And again, I don't think it's because all these people were terrible and immoral, and I think most of these people actually wanted to give the players more back in the day. But the problem is, and this is the comp I'm going to make to media. Well, because media is the same way, right? Like the newspaper people back in the day, they knew that it was just like college athletics. They knew they were in trouble. They knew that print was a dying deal, but they were still making so much money off of their classified ads that they couldn't just give it up. And they wouldn't, because the people in charge wouldn't do it. And you kick the can down the road, and all of a sudden it's too late, and you've got, all these digital people and websites, and they're just eating you for lunch. The other problem we have I believe, that we've always had in college athletics, and just, I think, the general workforce, is bad middle management. Middle managers, and I'm sorry if you are one, are generally, I'm not going to say waste because that's disrespectful, but the problem with middle managers is that they often don't actually have any power, right? And this causes real frustration within the workforce. When you have a middle manager who is perceived in your mind to only be there to serve, that the people above them and nothing else, because they've got to get their bonus, and that's how they keep their job. And then that bubbles and creates massive frustration with the workforce. And we've seen this for years in college athletics, where you've got all these like administrators, and then you've got, these football programs have 50 assistant coaches and stuff like that. Well, in a real world, which is not college athletics, is not the real world, you wouldn't have all of that perceived financial waste, and that money would be going to the players. And that's part of this whole thing. So like this infrastructure got so bloated, and now you have to pay the workers. Okay? For the first time in history, that's got to come off the books. You've got to pay them. And you've also got these bloated coaching staffs, which again, in administrative buildings, which that's who I'm making the comp of the middle management to. I'm not saying they're all incompetent. It's not what I'm saying, but you see the picture I'm painting here. So you've got all these people, and they're kind of looking out for themselves right now. Like, I got to prove to somebody that I'm needed, right? Because now I've got 85 football players that I've got to pay. How do I prove that I'm still needed here? So it's a mess. And I think the way I tie it up, and this is where these things, the comp makes so much sense to me, is the larger you get with anything, the more money that gets involved with anything. If it's a company, if it's your family, right? If the larger your family gets, the less efficient everything becomes. So now we have these athletic departments that, are so bureaucratic, and like college athletics is just so bureaucratic now. I mean, how many Division I basketball schools are there? Like 350. These conferences are 20 teams in a conference, and there's so much money involved. We've lost all sense of being able to have any efficiency at all. See that all the time in media. Back when we had locally owned media and like these small newsrooms, God, we were so much better at what we did. We were so much better as an industry at serving the public. But then, so now it's all corporately owned. And we got to look out for shareholders, right? First and foremost, they've got to get paid, and I respect that. I'm a capitalist. That's who owns it. But it's so large, we've lost sense of all efficiency when it comes to what we do in our industry as well. And it's a fascinating thing when I put them side by side. It's just like, man, could be because they are so interconnected, college athletics and the media, and just how we got to the spot we've gotten to today. And you can almost put it by a year when these things are happening side by side, specifically the ESPN thing, right? ESPN got so big that it lost touch of who it was. We're doing restaurants now. We're right, like it and it happens. This is how. But and they knew they should have gone straight to the consumer 10 years ago, but ESPN was still just milking the subscription model for as long as it could because everybody had DirecTV and everybody had Dish Network still, and the people who still did were paying 5 times more than they probably should be. And it was a great business model while it lasted. But they got so big that they couldn't pivot. And that's where college athletics is at now. I think most of the people in the room, it's kind of like our government, right? I think most people in our government, like, I don't believe to their core are bad people. I don't. And if you're a big Republican, you can say, oh, all the Democrats are evil and vice versa. I don't think at their core, these are all horrible humans. I think that lobbyists are rampant. I think that everything got too big. Too much money got involved. And now they can't pivot. Even if they want to make a different decision, oftentimes they can't because they're owned by somebody else. So there you go. That's a lot of diarrhea of the mouth. That's 17 minutes on just everything that has been going on in my head. But I can draw a direct line between the two industries. We all got too big. We all got too greedy. And then you get past a point where you can make meaningful change. And they're trying to do it right now in college athletics. I hope it works. I really do. I hope that I unfortunately think that Congress is going to have to do something. And you've lost the right. I think college athletics has lost the right to make the decision, and good luck, as I've said numerous times. Now you've got Ted Cruz and Cory Booker deciding your future. Congratulations. 2 other stories that I just wanted to tap on, and they are media driven, is the Shedeur Sanders thing from over the weekend being one of the most polarizing stories I've ever witnessed. Like, we've seen draft fall. Remember when Aaron Rodgers dropped to 24 and we're all like, oh my God, he was supposed to be a top 10 pick. He dropped to 24. Yeah, this went on for days. And it works right in with, his dad, obviously. And the whole thing, it's wild. Like, you talk to people about Deion Sanders, and he's either brilliant and he's a disruptor and he's changing the game and he's going to win a Super Bowl someday, or it's all flash. He sucks. He doesn't know anything about coaching. Watch what people are saying about Shedeur Sanders right now. You're either an analyst that thinks he is terrible, he is a bust, he has no business in the NFL, or you're Mel Kiper and you think he's a top 5 player in the entire draft. It's incredible. Like, nobody is out there being like, you know what? The guy's got potential. Let's see if he can put it together. There's nobody saying that. Everybody is polarized on this one. I just want somebody to say, hey, you know what? The guy clearly has talent. We question his ability to lead at that level, but he's still young. And if he gets in the right spot with the right mentor and he can humble himself, we think he could be a really good quarterback in the NFL. We think he has all the potential to do that. That's all I want to hear with my analysis. I don't need far right, far left, and everything. I promise you one thing, though. I don't know how good of a quarterback he's going to be in the NFL. Hell, maybe he never even plays a snap. But I promise you, the media is going to suffocate us when it comes to this story. All camp long, this is going to be like when Brett Favre went to the Vikings. This is going to be when Johnny Manziel got a lot of. This is going to be like Tebow. Really, that's the best comp. They are going to just be, and that will become a problem. And that's where if I'm Kevin Stefanski and I'm the Cleveland Browns, that if they were forced to make this pick, like this is what pisses me off about it. Because it's a sideshow. And like, if I could just have Shedeur Sanders, I'm all in. I would roll the dice on that. I would. You look at some of the natural plays that he makes, and he's got that. But these teams didn't want the sideshow, and that I promise you, the Cleveland Browns will be the biggest media story in the National Football League in the month of July. It's insane, but they will be. You just watch. Already a top 10 jersey from the NFL draft being sold. He's a 5th round pick. This is Tim Tebow 2.0 minus the, other stuff that went with Tebow. Last thing I have is big weekend coming up at Wells Fargo Arena. And this is, I'm not talking pro wrestling here, I promise. But I am really interested in this merger that happened. This is from a media standpoint between WWE and the UFC. So the UFC is first. We're having our first event ever in Des Moines on Saturday night. On Friday night, SmackDown, WWE SmackDown is going to be in town. So if you guys didn't know this, it was like a year or two ago where a group called TKO now owns both of these organizations. Okay. So they're still run independently, but it's all together as one company. WWE is, in my opinion, you don't even have to be a pro wrestling. In my opinion, WWE is on a rocket ship right now because of their international appeal. They've been going to Saudi Arabia doing that stuff for a while now. WWE just did on their what they call their Road to WrestleMania, where it was like a European tour. Every place is sold out across the country. So WWE for, really its entire existence, while people watched it overseas, they would do European tours and stuff, but it was an American product. WWE is going global. So like there's so much growth that's going to come from that. But what's fascinating now is that UFC is coming up with its next television deal, with its next rights deal. And it's going to be up for bids here really soon. And we've recently seen WWE go over to Netflix. And I think there's a decent chance now. So like right now, if you want to watch any of this UFC stuff, it is all on ESPN. Okay, so they're like Fight Night on Saturday, I believe, will be on ESPN from Wells Fargo Arena. If you watch their pay-per-views, it's on ESPN Plus. And my prediction is what's going to happen here is that UFC is now going to take the playbook of the NFL, and they're going to do like what WWE just did, and they're going to split this thing up. They are going to we're going to be on Netflix for this show. We're going to put our pay-per-views on ESPN Plus. We're going to have our, Ultimate Fighter is going to be on Peacock. Right. You see what I'm saying? I'm just throwing out these different, but like the thing about UFC that makes me so bullish on this product is, I don't know, like the ESPN will bid, Fox will bid. I think that they like what WWE did with Netflix. Guys, I've been saying this for 10 years, and I think like eventually I'm going to be right here. When Netflix, when Amazon, Apple, whoever start to really want these products, and I think they're waiting, Honest to God, I think they're waiting out Disney and Fox. Specifically, Disney. Fox seems to be doing a little bit better, but Disney's got its own weird stuff happening. The numbers that are, I think the UFC is going to absolutely blow people away with the television revenue they are going to get in the next deal. I think it's going to blow people away. I'm not a stock picker here. It's not what I'm doing. I'm telling you, this TKO company in the next 10 years, they're adding boxing too. This really smart people. Because the thing is, when the UFC and WWE, they were never a competition because the WWE is predetermined, right? And but like one of the problems the UFC's always had is you can't keep stars. Like Ronda Rousey was huge, right? And Conor McGregor was huge. And you can think of these mega stars that the UFC had. But once they lose, you can't, like Sean O'Malley's this way right now. Like if the UFC could do a crystal ball, Sean O'Malley would never lose another bout because he's just this polarizing guy. People want to watch him. He's got the fancy hair. And then he wins the championship a little over a year ago, and then he loses his first defense. And it's like, there goes our star. You just don't know because it's real, and your shelf life is generally very small. Now that the sport is so much more popular than it was 20 years ago. But like with WWE, it's all predetermined, so you create stars and you can make them bigger, and then we're going to take a break from him for a while and build up another star. And now this TKO, they have the best of everything. And they have all these relationships, and combat sports are more popular than ever in our world. And you've got more people bidding on your television products, and these live events are selling out everywhere you go. I was talking to some folks. I mean, this WWE event, I don't know exactly about the UFC one, but this WWE event on Friday night, tickets are going for like twice as much as they did the last time WWE was in town. I just think it's really smart from a media standpoint what they're doing. And I don't see these products slowing. It'd be a fun weekend on Friday and Saturday night at Wells Fargo Arena. I can't wait. So there you have it. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me for about a half hour on your Tuesday. A lot to get through right there. I love talking about this stuff. If you guys ever have any questions or want to be a part of the show, please just send me some tweets. I'd love to get back to you, like in a mailbag form, anything like that. Want to thank our friends at Steeple Ridge Bourbon, of course, for sponsoring the program. Signing off from the Channel Seed Studios. My name is Chris Williams. We'll be back next week with another CW Pod here on Iowa Everywhere.